Hello, my name is Melissa Martin, and thank you for joining me to review contemporary ethics on euthanasia. To get started, let's get to those definitions. Euthanasia is the painless killing of a patient suffering from an incurable and painful disease or an irreversible coma. The alternative to euthanasia is physician aid in dying, PAD, or assisted suicide, which is suicide of a patient suffering from an incurable disease affected by the taking of lethal drugs provided by a doctor for this purpose. So the key difference between the two is euthanasia is through a physician and PAD is through the patient in administering the lethal dose of medication. Alright, let's start from the beginning. The history goes all the way back to ancient Greece and Rome on the topic of euthanasia. In 1828 is the earliest American statute explicitly to outlaw assisting suicide. In the 20th century, debate continued in the U.S., which resulted in Ohio and Iowa having euthanasia proposals in respectively 1906 and 1907, but they were both rejected. Euthanasia advocacy in the U.S. peaked again during the 1930s and then diminished significantly during and after World War II. Continuing, euthanasia efforts were revived during the 60s and 70s under the Right to Die rubric, physician-assisted death in liberal bioethics, and through advanced directives and do not resuscitate orders. And just a little insight on what those are, if you didn't know already. Advanced directives are legally putting your health wishes on paper to be carried out. And then do not resuscitate is when the body can no longer sustain life on its own, so therefore you do not want to be put on a machine like a ventilator to stay alive. Alright, let's continue. Moving into 1994, a Death with Dignity Act ballot initiative that would permit terminally ill patients under proper safeguards to obtain a physician's prescription to end life in a humane and dignified manner. Oregon Death with Dignity Act officially took effect in October of 1997. And then in the following year, the Oregon Health Services Commission decided that payment for physician-assisted suicide could come from state funds under the Oregon Health Plan so that poor would not be discriminated against. As of 2013, which is just last year, 3 states, Oregon, Vermont, and Washington, legalized physician-assisted suicide via legislation, and Montana has legal physician-assisted suicide via court ruling. So again, where is this a topic that's been addressed in legal form? Is it the 4 states in the United States that we just addressed? Plus, in Europe, euthanasia is legal in Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg, and assisted suicide is only legal currently in Switzerland. So, after going over the highlights of euthanasia and or PAD, I bet you've got some feelings going on. They may be good, bad, little ethical tensions that we should look into more. So, come along. Euthanasia related to religion. Conservative religious groups tend not to be for euthanasia, just like they are for abortion, same-sex marriage, equal rights, and so on and so forth. Hence the word conservative. Euthanasia in the medical world. There are medical groups with members who are dedicated to saving lives and extending life, which it should be the intention of all medical personnel. But there are certain members that feel uncomfortable helping people in their lives. Euthanasia with disabilities. There are also many groups concerned with those that have euthanasia and it being the first step towards a society that will kill disabled people against their will. Continuing the ethical discussion. Discussion of assisted suicide continues to center on legal, religious, moral conceptions of suicide and a personal right to die. Legally speaking, the practice may be legal, illegal, or undecided, depending on the culture or jurisdictions from which you live in. So why, you might ask, would someone want to choose euthanasia or physician-assisted suicide? These are the top 4 reasons. Desire to control the circumstances of death, desire to die at home, belief continuing to live was pointless, and then simply being ready to die. Now let's incorporate Nash's 3 moral languages. What would each language bring to the analysis of this problem? Or you might not even see it as a problem. You might just be interested, or you might agree with it. So let's get going on this euthanasia topic. The first language, background beliefs. Background beliefs are the ultimate basis by which we make our ethical decisions. The topic of euthanasia should make you consult your background beliefs, hence the core or your spine of your body. That's what I think of, right down to the DNA. Those are your background beliefs. Right or wrong, based on a person's moral reference points. So, what are your reference points? And I'm going to quickly refer to a page in Nash's book, Real World Ethics, to drive home the point of the first language is not to provide or to justify anything. It is to locate ethical judgment, decisions, and actions in a background language that deepens, explains, and reveals. So, what underlying beliefs help you make sense of the world? And how about euthanasia? Personally, I feel euthanasia is a personal choice. Therefore, I'm neither for nor against it, depending on how it is carried out. And I'll continue on that in the next few slides. Now on to the second language, moral character. Moral character function is to provide important contextual information for the decision maker, for whom it can be an instrument of rich self-revelation. Nash states, which decision has the most integrity in terms of the kind of person I either perceive myself to be or I am striving to become? So I ask you, what kind of self-revelations does euthanasia bring to the surface for you? I'm going to refer to Nash's book real quick in regards to the second language. And these are some questions that you should think about when thinking of the second language. What are your immediate and moral intuitions and stirrings about euthanasia? Are you experiencing any conflicting moral feelings as you think about it? What would happen if you were to make a decision both in character and out of character regarding this topic? What do you think are some of your professional expectations regarding your decision in this case? So, keep thinking about those. And in regards to myself, I will get into this more in depth after the third language. So, let's continue on. Third language, moral principle. The major purpose of the moral principle framework is to justify or defend an ethical decision based on a logical appeal to appropriate rules, principles, and theories per Nash. So, I ask you, how would you defend or justify your ethical decision on euthanasia? Referring back to the book, another drive-home point is, the goal of the third language is to ask simply but essentially case-specific questions as preliminary to constructing a sound defense for taking a particular ethical action. So the questions you should think about in the third language are, why is this case a moral dilemma? Why and what are the choices in conflict? Who are morally relevant actors? Is the where morally relevant? Is the when morally relevant? What are some foreseeable consequences of each decision? What are some foreseeable principles involved in each decision? And then, what are some viable alternatives? And what do you think the Code of Ethics addresses about this? So, continuing on to my personal background. I firmly believe there's no correct answer for everyone. I believe in the freedom of choice. Black and white regulations should be in place as much as possible in regards to euthanasia or PAD to clear up any issues that may come up or potential issues. And bottom line is to respect one another. A quote that I often think of by Abraham Lincoln that helps drive home my personal feelings is this: in the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it is the life in your years, by Abraham Lincoln. And I truly believe that. If there's not quality life in your years, then what's the point? If you're mentally not there, you don't know your name, you're in so much pain that you can no longer do anything and it's debilitating, or you have some other debilitating condition, then I would question what's the point. And for me personally, I might consider this. Now, to give you some more background on myself, the community and my upbringing are from an upper-class family in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I was brought up by both my parents. I'm now a wife and a mother to my son, and we also live in an upper-class area of Dallas-Fort Worth. I'm a registered nurse with my Bachelor's of Science in Nursing for 7 years. Bottom line is, I love to help others. I like to be honest and fair with every choice that I have, and I always keep my word. So, with that said, I'm neither for nor against in making that decision for someone else, but I do believe euthanasia should be allowed under certain circumstances, and that should be the choice of the person and the person alone. Just like do not resuscitate or your other rights that you have that you may put on paper. So with that said, thank you for joining me, and I hope this encourages you to think about this topic and what you might do if you were ever confronted with it. Thank you so much.